Hello, beautiful people. Hope everybody's had a great week. Want to give you guys a big thank you, big shout out for watching, listening, giving me words of encouragement. Those of you that have said something to me in person or sent me messages or phone calls, you guys are really awesome, and I really appreciate that very much. So, thank you for the encouragement. You guys have been great, and thanks for the feedback too. Not everything's positive, so I appreciate that too. I want to kick off this week with a book recommendation. I read a book recently and just finished this week. It's a book by Thomas Sowell called The Vision of the Anointed. It's an amazing book. It was written about 30 years ago, and it is as relevant today, or maybe even more relevant today than when it was written 30 years ago. We're in an election cycle. There's a presidential election this year. So I highly recommend reading this book if you're at all interested in politics, or if you're interested in economics, social policy, legislation, things like that. Definitely recommend reading this book. Kind of eye-opening, really, how deep he goes into how a very small percentage of the population, those that consider themselves educated and smarter or wiser and better than the rest of us, get to make all the rules, and how the rest of us kind of lockstep in behind that, more or less because we're scared to speak out, because we're ridiculed, shamed, things like that. But anyway, highly recommend the book. You got to check it out. Like I said, if you're at all interested in social policy, politics, legislation, things like that. But really cool book. Like I said, it's election cycle, so really there is not a better time to read that book than now. This week I wanted to do a video on bad news and great news. And oddly enough, the bad news and the great news is actually the exact same thing. The bad news is nobody cares. And what I mean by that is I spent a great deal of my life and my time frustrated, depressed, moping, pouting, whatever word you want to use, but caught up in my own mind and frustrated that nobody cared. And what I meant by that, or what I was thinking about that, was I felt like people didn't care about the things that I care about, which meant they didn't care at all. So for example, if someone didn't care about the causes I cared about, or someone didn't put in as much effort on the job, I thought they didn't care. People didn't think about me as a priority in their life. They didn't care in any way, form, or fashion that someone didn't show interest in me or the things that I was interested in. That person just didn't care at all. It took me a long time to realize that, people do care. They just care about themselves. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. They should be caring about themselves. They're concerned about their family, their well-being, their health, their kids, their finances, their living situation, dealing with their own issues and their own problems. They're way too caught up in their own issues to worry about me. So it was extremely selfish of me to be expecting other people to care. Like, why was I in the mindset that people should care about me? They shouldn't. And that's the good news, or the great news in this, is people don't care. And once you realize people don't care about you, they don't spend time thinking about you, they're not worried about what you're doing, they're not worried about where you're going, it frees you from this chain of being stuck in this mindset of people care about what you're doing. People don't care. So that's the bad news and the great news. Bad news is, oh man, nobody cares. Great news, nobody cares. Nobody cares what you're doing. Go live your life. You're free. You don't have to waste any time thinking about other people. They're not thinking about you. And a portion of how I learned this lesson was I had this mindset, and I don't know if it comes from growing up in the United States or media, but I had this mindset that people in other countries were obsessed with the United States. Like, they loved us, they hated us, they couldn't wait to get here, they couldn't wait to visit here, that they lost sleep thinking about the United States, good or bad. And the shock came when I traveled outside of the country and realized that they don't care. They don't care. Like, why would they care? Like, they're living their lives. They're taking care of their families. They're working, they're feeding their families, they're doing sporting events, they're doing hobbies, they're going to the gym, they're going to the grocery store, they're going to movies, they're going bowling. Like, at what point in the day do they have time to even think about the United States? You know, people in other countries spend as much time thinking about the United States as we spend thinking about South Africa. How much time in your day do you think you spend thinking about South Africa? A whole lot of zero. You don't think about it at all. Why would you? So I'm glad I got the experience to travel outside of the country so I could break that belief cycle of people are constantly thinking about us or me. And man, it was a refreshing, and like I said, it's a freeing feeling, realizing that people don't care. People don't care. You know, all that worry and stress and losing sleep at night about what people think about you or what people say about you, they don't care. They don't care. And it's once you get to that point, I'm telling you, it is a freedom like you have never felt in your entire life, to just let go and just move forward and live your life and do whatever it is you're going to do, because the people that will say something about you, they don't matter. They don't matter. They don't. And everybody else isn't going to say anything at all. So just go do it. Go live your life. Go start that business. Go start that band. Go start that garden. Go do whatever it is that you want to do with your life, because nobody cares. Nobody cares. And people are going to talk. Just let them talk. Let them talk. And the you know, if you're not in a good place right now and you're worried about people talking about you, you can't even imagine how many people are going to be saying bad things about you when you're doing something. When you actually get out there and do something, man, people are going to come after you. There's going to be a long line of people just waiting to take a dump on you. That's just human nature. We will just sit back and wait for an opportunity to cut somebody down. So, and the more into and the deeper you get into your hobby or your thing or your career or your whatever path you choose, the more people are going to talk about you. You know, good examples are the wealthy. People that are the most extreme people, extremely successful people that we consider successful in our society, are the ones that are like most attacked. You know, the Elon Musk of the world, like people attack that guy every single day. Like if he had thin skin, do you think he'd be able to get through a day? Like he couldn't. There's no way he could get through the day. Athletes, oh my gosh, like don't read the comments on anything online that has anything to do with an athlete. I mean, it's just people on there just absolutely delusionally crazy, and they're just ripping somebody just because they want to rip somebody. Like, you can't escape that. You can't escape that. And you have to realize that that small percentage of people that do that, you can't worry about them. You can't think about them. Those people are always going to exist. You can't make them happy. Nothing's going to take whatever issue they have, you can't solve. They have to fix that. You know, they're out there. They're going to come after you. They're going to attack you. You can't solve their problems. You can't fix them. And you not living up to your potential is going to make that go away either. So you have to reach your potential and go do the things that you want to do and live your life, regardless of these few people that lead sorry lives and are unhappy with their life, or they're miserable, or whatever the case is. You're just going to have to ignore them. They're never going away. They're going to be there forever, and you just have to deal with it. A good example is there's these local city groups on social media, and they're really, it's strange to me, but it just seems to me like it's a place for people to go in there and just complain and whine and cry and just rip other people. And it's only people that enjoy that type of thing that, you know, they say misery loves company. So it's just a bunch of people that get together and they just go around taking shots at each other and leaving nasty comments and saying nasty things about every little thing. Two examples I can think of recently. There was this long post, this long rant from this guy, just ripping this business up one side and down the other. You know, he'd been going there for 10 years, and worst experience he's ever had. He's never going back. And, you know, the lady up front this and the manager that. I mean, just destroying these people, like he'd been waiting his whole life to try to take somebody down. You know what his complaint was? $10. $10. He called before he went there. This is for like an automotive service type thing. He called ahead of time. He got this vehicle service. They quoted him $119 over the phone, and when he got there and he had the work done, they charged him $129. He absolutely obliterated these people. This business online in front of a group of thousands of people for $10. Like, you can't win when you subject yourself to that environment. You cannot win. You have to cut ties with the belief that the people that matter are going to care. There's always going to be people out there that say bad things about you. There's always going to be people out there that you can't make happy. I started saying this thing a couple years ago, and I think it's funny. I shouldn't say it, but some people frown during sex. Some people just they cannot put a smile on their face no matter what you do for them, no matter what you give them. You can exhaust every resource you have, and this person will be miserable at the end of the day. And you have to cut ties with these people, and you have to just realize that that's something wrong with that person. And you cannot not live your life because these people exist. There's 8 billion people on the planet, and you're worried about such a small percentage. The rest of us want to see you make it. The rest of us are cheering for you. The rest of us want you to make it. Just had a train go by, so I had to mute the video. Lost my train of thought, but do not get caught up in these people. It's such a small percentage of people. They do not care about you. They do not care. The only thing they care about is themselves anyway. You're just a target of their venom, and you can't escape it. This small percentage of people, it's just like crime, for example. A very, very, very small percentage of people commit crime. The rest of everybody else, honest, trustworthy, hardworking people, just trying to make a living, take care of their family, pay their bills, stay out of debt, drive a reasonable car. Like, people are just trying to live a normal life. They're not criminals. They're not out to attack anybody. They're not trying to ruin anybody's life. And for the most part, people are cheering for you. People are rooting you on. People want to see you succeed. They're not going to lose any sleep over it. They're not going to be more concerned about your success than they are their own success. But they're cheering you on. If they see you make it, they want to shake your hand. They want to pat you on the back. They don't want to tear you down. So please get over the idea that people care. They don't. They don't care. And at first, I thought that was a bad thing. I was like, why don't people care? That was my big thing. Why? They just don't. They just don't care. They have their own lives. They have their own things they're concerned about, their own worries, their own stresses, their own issues, their own problems, their own challenges. So just cut yourself loose from all the BS. Cut yourself loose of the worry and the stress of what other people are thinking about you, and just go live your life and go do your thing and go have fun. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. The other one I was thinking about, and I'll share it with you real quick and I'll move on to something else, is same thing. One of these groups, these social media groups where people in the community just go on there. Like I said, I very seldom see anything good in there. It's just this toxic, poison, miserable people sharing information. But the person was complaining, I'm not kidding you, but it was about pennies. It was literally about pennies. They went and bought a donut or something for $4.99, and their credit card got charged like $5.27 or $5.37 or something, and they couldn't do the math on sales tax plus whatever the 3% credit card charge was, and they were ripping the business, calling them thieves, and they're stealing. Oh, it might only be 6 cents, but if they do that a bunch of times a day, they're stealing. It's just absurd. Like, it's so bizarre that people think that businesses steal 6 cents. Like, that is just so crazy to even think that any business can do anything with 6 cents. Like, even if I did it 100 times a day, if I stole 6 cents 100 times a day, how much would I have? Not enough money to do anything with. It's just so bizarre. So please keep in mind that people that are out there that are screaming and yelling and cussing and throwing a tantrum at every little thing that doesn't go their way, those people exist. But it's such a small percentage of people. You can't make them happy. Don't worry about them. You need to focus on making yourself happy, and it does take a level of selfishness to get there, you have to, you can't disregard all of humankind, but you have to at least understand that you are of better service to the world if you are better. If you are running at 50% because you're tired, you're hungry, you're working too much, you're caught up in other things, you're losing sleep at night because you're worried about what other people think, or if you're losing sleep at night because you're worried about, you know, this situation or that problem, and you wake up the next day and you're tired for the first 4 hours, if you're not running at 100%, the world is not getting the best of you. And that's what you need to be focused on. Is I'm not a big fan of this new self-care trend, whatever that is or whatever that means to you, but not a big fan of the self-care thing. But there is a level of, you need to take care of yourself. You need to try to get to as close to 100% as possible, because you right now you feel like you're doing everything you possibly can, and you're running yourself ragged trying to meet other people's needs and get this deadline and satisfy your boss and satisfy your job and satisfy your family, and you're running yourself ragged and you're doing the very best that you can, and you get caught up in that motion, and you don't realize that if you just slow down, take a deep breath, get yourself up to 100%, get as close to as 100% as you possibly can get, you will be of much better service to the people that matter to you, whether it's a spouse, whether it's your kids, whether it's your employment, your business, whatever it is. Get as close to 100% as you possibly can, because running yourself ragged is not going to get the job done. I promise you that. I've been there. It's not a good situation, and you feel like you're just compounding your problem all the time because you're just doing and doing and doing and doing. You're not really getting a lot done. So coming from somebody that's got the experience of trying to please everybody, complete waste of energy, complete waste of time. Stop losing sleep over it. Come to grips with the fact that nobody cares. It's a freeing feeling, and I promise you it will set you on a new mindset, set you on a new level of understanding that it's okay to be a little bit selfish. Put your priorities first, and kick the negative people out of your life. There's, like I said, there's so few of them. Just cut it out. Like if it's a social media group that you're a part of, if it's a friend group that you're a part of, whatever that influence, wherever that's coming from, I promise you, cut that out, and it will get you going the right direction. I promise you. But get yourself close to 100%. I promise you it'll make a difference. What else do I got for you? I don't know why this has been bothering me lately, but I want to talk a little bit about tip culture. And this is, I just got done talking about people complaining, and now I'm going to complain. So it's going to sound like I'm not living by what I'm saying. I don't understand current tip culture, and I think some of it. So if you have been paying attention or noticing, there is a trend or a group of people that's just kind of got on this bandwagon of they don't tip. And there's videos floating around social media, and there's, people more or less bragging about they don't tip, and how they, I've seen videos where they're, shaming like pizza delivery people and DoorDash drivers and Uber drivers, and just shaming these people for, just telling them, oh yeah, well, if you don't like how much you get paid, talk to Uber. And if you don't like how much you get paid, talk to Lyft. If you don't like how much you get paid, talk to DoorDash. And it just makes my skin crawl a little bit. One, I've worked in the service industry, so I feel like I've seen it from both sides. So maybe the people that feel this way have never worked in the service industry. They don't see it from that lens. So I forgive these people for being this way. It's just frustrating to watch because other people are seeing it. They're being influenced by somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about, which is a shame. So yes, I do agree that tip culture is unusual in the sense that you will tip a pizza delivery driver, but you don't tip the person that takes your order at McDonald's, or whatever would be considered cultural norms. So I guess we have these societal norms where it's normal to tip at a sit-down restaurant, but it's not normal to tip at Chipotle, or whatever the case is. So I think of it this way, and probably not everybody's way of looking at it, but I believe that whatever money you have doesn't really belong to you. You came into this world with no money, and you will leave this world with no money. You come in with none, you leave with none, and anything you possess along the way, that was given to you from somewhere. My belief is there's a higher power. My belief is that any dollar I've ever had, God's blessed me with that dollar. Now, I will say I haven't always held this belief, okay, so I don't want you to think that this has always been in my mind this way. However, even before I held the belief that every dollar I've ever had came from a blessing, even before I held that belief, I did believe that money wasn't the answer to all my problems, and I always felt like if I had it and somebody else needed it, I would give it to them. I found myself in situations over the years where I just had some gut feeling, something just told me like, hey, give this person a tip, give this person a big tip, whatever the case is, and I trusted my gut. Maybe people that don't tip don't have that intuition. Maybe people that don't tip, they want to stand on their morals like, oh, well, talk to Uber, talk to, DoorDash. But my belief is that I have to atone for whatever it is I do and don't do someday. Someday I'm going to have to answer to everything I did and didn't do. And I find it really, really hard to think of some of these folks that just for whatever reason, their line in the sand is tipping. They just draw a line in the sand. You know what? Nope, I'm not tipping. And I would at least have some respect for the people if they just said, I don't tip. I would just say, hey, if that's just, hey, your belief, you don't tip, hey, cool, I get it, you don't tip. But hiding behind if you don't like your job, quit. If you don't like the way DoorDash pays you, quit. If you don't like Uber, why are you passing off your belief system of not tipping onto the employer of the business where that person works? For instance, and this is what I mean by that, let's just build a scenario around a lot of these jobs where people receive tips. Service industry, delivery services, a lot of these jobs, for example, if let's say a single mom is working a delivery job because of the schedule. Let's just say she's got a couple kids. She's got to take the kids to school in the morning. She works a couple hours throughout the day, and then she's got to go pick up the kids from school. So she's using this for income because it's a flexible schedule. Let's say there's a dad that's working nights and weekends delivering pizza to put his kids through school, or to pay for a home repair that an unexpected home repair or an unexpected medical bill, and dad's going to be out working nights and weekends. After he's already worked his full-time job, he's out there working nights and weekends delivering pizza. I have such a hard time coming to grips with people that just flat out, before they even consider this other person or what they could be dealing with or what they could be going through or the reason why they're working this job, is more important than your moral stance on tipping somebody that works for a corporation. I just can't get my head around it. If I believe that this person needs this money more than I do, I'm going to give it to them, because the money, one, doesn't belong to me. This money was given to me. And number two, if this person needs it more than I do, I know exactly what I have to do to make a certain amount of money. And I have to believe that this person's working this job for a reason, putting themselves through school, paying a bill, a single mom, or even two-income household, and this is the hours they can work. Whatever the reason is really not that important. I'm just using these as examples, but I'm getting a little sidetracked. But I have to atone for everything that I've done, said and done here, and I can't imagine crossing over when I pass and being asked the question, hey Matt, I sent this struggling family to you in the form of a DoorDash driver, and you had the resources to bless this person, resources that were blessed to you, resources that were given to you. I gave you these resources and I entrusted you with these resources, and I brought the exact person to your doorstep that those resources needed to go to. I made you a steward of these resources to make sure that this person crossed your path on this day and this time, and the money that you need to give them was in your pocket, and you didn't give it to them. I need an answer for that. I need an answer for that. And I cannot live my life in a way where I just flat out make a blanket policy that I don't tip. So I even think of it, if there's somebody, and I'm not saying I do this all the time, so please don't take this the wrong way, but if I see somebody on the side of the road that's holding a sign, they need some help, and I give them some money, you know, some people are, you know, you always hear these people, wow, they're just gonna go drink, or they're just gonna go buy drugs, or they're just gonna go whatever. Well, one, you don't know that, and two, even if they are gonna do that, what that person does with the money is between them and God, and what I do with my money is between me and God. So I will choose to use the money that God's given me in whatever way my gut tells me. And I hope and pray that my gut never tells me to make some personal policy that I'm not gonna tip, because there doesn't have to be a tip jar there, you know. And I'll tell a short story. This is not, again, a self-congratulation. This is just a story. But one time a buddy and I recently went to a casino, and we played a little bit. You know, casinos usually take all your money, but I got out of there with most of my money. Not all of it, but I got out of there with most of my money. Me and him left the casino, went and grabbed something to eat. And after we got done eating, something compelled me to give the girls that were working there money. I mean, for whatever reason, my intuition just told me I needed to do that, and I felt way better about leaving the money that I left there at that restaurant with those girls than I did the money I left in the casino. Like, we're so willing to just throw money at the dumbest stuff, the dumbest things, the dumbest property, the dumbest entertainment. But there's a human being right in front of us that chooses to get up every single day, make the difficult decision to put wear and tear on their car, take time away from, they could be sitting at home doing nothing. Do you not understand? These people in the service industry, the people in these jobs where they're driving or delivering, like, they could be doing nothing. They could be doing nothing, and you have some beef with the corporation they work for. You're gonna let that prevent you from blessing another human being? Like, that's so bizarre. And then you're going to use the company as the reason why. Why don't you just step up and say, I don't tip? Just say it. Just say it. I can at least respect that. Oh, I don't tip. Okay, cool. You don't tip. But to say that you're not going to tip somebody because of who they work for, it's just bizarre. So I don't know why that's been bothering me recently. Sometimes I just got to get stuff off my chest. And I know I started this video talking about people that complain, and here I go complaining. But really frustrating situation when it comes to tipping. And like I said, it's not my money anyway. So I've spent money on way dumber things than blessing another person that probably needs it more than me. So I don't know if that's going to help you in any way or if it just makes me look foolish, but it's just been bothering me that there's this growing trend of people that just say they're not going to tip because of who this person works for, who this person works for. And that's, to me, that's just not how a blessing works. Like, how shallow of a person can you possibly be to say that you're not going to bless somebody because of where they work or how they work? I mean, a good person can and oddly enough, the same person would probably go the pay it forward method and go to the drive-through coffee and pay for the coffee for the person behind them that probably doesn't even need the help. They probably don't even need the money. You do not understand how crazy that is. The person that's working, driving their own car, trust me, like, throw them $50, throw them $20, you know, tip them 50%, whatever. Like, be creative. Trust me, there is not a blessing that you cannot give somebody that's not going to come back to you fivefold, tenfold, 100-fold. Anything that you give away, I promise, will come back in massive, massive amounts. I promise you. So I don't know why this tipping thing's been on my mind, but we got to get together as a society and just do better than what we're doing as far as this tip thing goes. It's just so bizarre to me. It's so bizarre. I mean, I know I'm just one person and nobody's really listening anyway, but I just hope we do better. It's just crazy to me, the mindset. And again, nobody's obligated to do anything because I say they should, but man, that is a crazy place to just take a stance in society and just say that you're just too good to tip. Like, that's just a bizarre place to take a stand. Anyway, I've been rambling long enough about tipping. Check out this book, The Vision of the Anointed by Thomas Sowell. I really appreciate you guys. You are awesome. I really, really appreciate the feedback. Thank you so much. You guys have a great week, and I will talk to you soon. I love you. Bye.